When Mikel Arteta eventually retired from club football in 2016, he would immediately receive 3 illustrious offers to begin his coaching career. The first offer came from Arsene Wenger to take charge of Arsenal's academy. The second was to join Maurizio Pochettino at Tottenham Hotspur, while the third and final offer was to unite with Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. Arteta was 33 at the time, and injuries had started to wear him down. It's the kind of age where for many footballers they begin to plan for a future off the field. For Arteta, however, there was a collective belief from anyone who knew the Spaniard that he was a manager in waiting. During his time as a player at Arsenal, Arteta was widely respected for his ability and knowledge. Arteta treated his role as captain with extreme seriousness, on and off the pitch. He was both intense and driven, a natural leader who took on heaps of responsibility. In fact, it's said that one of Arteta's biggest frustrations at Arsenal was that Wenger did not normally say much at halftime. In the latter days of his career, Arteta would often assume control during the break, taking it upon himself to pass on tactical instructions to teammates. Furthermore, it was quite common for the Spaniard to spend time with the video analysis before and after the game, analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of upcoming opponents. As a footballer, he wanted to absorb every last detail of preparation. He also aligned himself closely to Wenger, meeting with him frequently before and after practices. Arteta spent so much time with the Frenchman, it meant that other players sometimes joked he was the teacher's pet. Like all the great managers and coaches, Arteta was completely obsessed in becoming a footballing perfectionist. Years later, when Arteta eventually chose to join Pep at Manchester City, it was not because he disliked what Arsenal or Tottenham were proposing, more that he found it too hard to resist learning under Pep. Guardiola had first met Arteta when the younger midfielder was in Barcelona's youth academy. In fact, Arteta's debut for Barcelona B had been to replace Guardiola in midfield. Since their time in the La Masia program, they'd kept loosely in touch. However, it wasn't until 2012 that Guardiola would make the telephone call that eventually led to the pair joining up at Manchester City all those years later. It was April 2012 when Barcelona faced Chelsea in the Champions League semi-final. Before the tie, Guardiola called Arteta for insight on the Chelsea team. Arteta's information, including the complex level of tactical detail and the concise way in which he explained everything, heavily impressed the Barca manager. As he thanked Arteta for his advice, Guardiola made a mental note that the two should speak more often. Then, in 2015, Arsenal played Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Bayern won 5-1, and when Guardiola spoke to Arteta, he suggested they should team up if he ever coached an English side. Later in the season, Arteta would go back to Munich to watch close up how Guardiola worked with his players, and the two men would quickly realize they were a match made in heaven. During his time at City, Arteta was not afraid to voice his opinion. In fact, Guardiola actively encourages his assistants to speak out, and if necessary, take him on. That suited Arteta, and it was quite common to see the two men actively debating tactics on the sidelines of City games. Arteta was also in charge of player relations at City. Players would often be called in for one-on-one sessions with the young assistant coach. Arteta found himself taking on a mentor role with a lot of City's younger players. This Spaniard, who speaks 6 languages, was particularly effective when working with both Raheem Sterling and Leroy Sané, having transformed the two somewhat raw wingers into two of the most prolific players in the country. For the majority of Arteta's time at City, his wife, Lorena Bernal, an Argentinian TV presenter and actress, was working in Los Angeles. For the first 2 years, she and their young sons lived in LA, via an 8-hour time difference. It is said that friends would visit Arteta's apartment in Manchester and be shocked by the way he was living, with notes and tactical diagrams stuck on the walls, as well as a TV showing a football match from somewhere around the world. Arteta's obsession with perfection had, for a period of time, even taken over his life at home. As Mikel Arteta's first season comes to an end with the FA Cup final on Saturday, there's no doubt he's had a massive impact since his arrival. The culture at Arsenal is slowly shifting, and after a memorable 2-0 win in the semi-final against his ex-club City, he'll want to finish the job in the finals against Chelsea. Of all the people, he knows there's still much work to be done. Whether he'll be backed by the board is another matter entirely, but what is for sure is that Arteta is the right man to lead Arsenal forward. His drive, passion, and constant obsession with perfection is what separates him from others. Arsenal's future, like Arteta's, is bright. With proper backing from both the board and the fan base, he will return Arsenal back to their glory days.